Good evening, friends. This is our update for 28th of Jan 2020. Now, today we gapped down by about 65-70 points and then fell a little more because the Dow futures was down 300 odd points and global markets overall looked fairly weak. We had long positions in the morning. Those we have carried. Now let's see if it works out or not. My take on this entire episode of coronavirus is that we have dealt with other viruses earlier. There was SARS, there was AIDS, there was bird flu, and yeah, it is a virus. It's not a trade war. um, while people think it will lead to a global slowdown, my sense is that that is probably a little too far out into the future. Today what is happening is that it's bringing crude prices lower, it's bringing metal prices lower. Now, as a consumer of commodities, that works very well for us. And as prices of raw material comes off, profit margins of our companies are likely to increase. Even otherwise, the fuel tax that we all pay with fuel prices coming off is likely to come down. So my sense is that post this sort of initial scare, I think the markets will rocket back and will probably outperform global markets. Lower inflation will put pressure on interest rates to move down. So, in many ways, this sort of episode is different from, the Iran episode we went through, because there the commodity prices and oil prices rallied very sharply, and here they are coming off. So that would, in turn help us. So that is the reason I am still long on the market. Yes, couple of days you can have, up and down activity, but overall, I think we will come back fairly strongly. Having said all of this, Nifty next support now here is about 12,050. The resistance seems to be 12,180, and let's see if we are able to hold on to supports at lower levels. I feel there are good macro triggers which are now developing for this market to move higher. But again, keep your stops and consult your financial advisor. Don't go by what I am saying. In terms of the bank nifty, again, inflation outlook becoming benign is a big positive for our banking sector. Today we saw some very heavy selling on HDFC Bank, Kotak, and all of these private banks. So the idea is that once the selling is done, you could have a bank nifty rally as well. So when that starts and when all this selling is done, that is possibly something time will tell. But overall, if I have to go with themes, I would probably go with the commodity consumer theme, which means like paint stocks, uh, auto stocks, all kinds of OMCs, and the weaker groups will probably remain in the commodity space, which are the metal stocks mainly. So that way, I think we have lots of benefits which are going to accrue to us because of these weak commodity prices. So that is how you should be reading this sort of a decline. This is not a business problem. This is a cyclical problem, and one that will, chances are, be solved fairly soon. So this sort of decline should be used by people to build positions, and just wait for the market to come back on the upside. I don't think this is going to be a long lasting problem. It will lead to a correction in global markets, etc. Somewhat of downside out here, but I am interested in buying into this decline. Having said that, you know, it could take a bit of time. That is all. So make sure that you don't get trapped on the other side. I would expect some kind of rally before the budget. So again, the markets are so volatile that it becomes extremely difficult to day trade these sort of markets. So the idea should be to build positions on declines, and then just wait for the market to go back higher. This could happen as early as tomorrow. But overall, I would think once this large cap correction is done, you will have the Nifty also rallying fairly hard on the upside. On the bank Nifty, I think 30,500 should act as a support, and 31 400 450 should be acting as a resistance. I am giving wide levels because when it starts to run, I think it'll be difficult to catch it. So towards 30,500, it would be a good idea to build some positions even on the bank Nifty. That should be it for right now. Take care and trade well.